what's the biggest lesson that you have learned from failure?
The biggest lesson from failure for me is that
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to 5 with T5. We've been local business owners, community champions, and all-around amazing individuals on to learn about them, their stories, or business in a quick and effective way. My name is Stephen Turnbull with T5 Insurance, your host, and I'm joined by my guest today, Mr. Michael Marrone of Michael Marrone Photography. If you're joining us for the first time, we're going to start the clock right now with 5 rapid-fire questions for our guest, and then we'll get into it and learn a little bit more. Mike, you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Here we go, baby. Question number 1. First thing to come to mind. We're getting right into it. Weirdest thing you've ever seen at a wedding?
God, you're gonna ask me this?
Yep, right off the bat.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. It's not. I guess everything's kind of one-off to me. I've seen people get like shirtless. I've seen weddings where.
Oh, you weren't supposed to talk about my wedding. You were supposed to talk about my.
No, I have honestly, I'm not in shock yet for a wedding, which is a good thing.
Sure.
So I guess I really haven't seen anything that crazy yet. I've seen stuff online that's really.
Oh, haven't we all?
But not.
All right, we'll take that.
Thankfully.
We'll take that as an answer. Question number 2. If you could go back into time, which time period would you return to and why?
I would return to when I was younger, around between 18 and 23. And the reason being is because I got into trouble. I partied a lot. I had fun, but I wasted some years that I wish I just kind of worked and kind of built myself, because I started late in life. So I went back to school when I was 24, graduated when I was 27, because I just went to school in the summertime to expedite things. I got my master's degree, and really my life started at 30 years old. So I met my wife. I got a job that I liked in marketing. So I really wish that I started maybe 10 years earlier with that whole process. But you know what? It is what it is. Everyone has their journey.
Love that. Yes, they certainly do. And the journey and the story makes up your future, right? The lessons you learn from that. Speaking of that, lessons and anything, what is the biggest, question number 3, what's the biggest lesson that you have learned from failure?
The biggest lesson from failure for me is that when you can fail, you can always improve in the long run. So like if I fail, I learn from it. I say, what did I do wrong? And let's not do that again. So I love to fail because I actually grow from it. So opposed to me looking at it as, oh, I failed, for me, it's like, I failed. That's great. How can I not fail at this thing in the future?
Yeah, you're not failing or losing, you're learning, right? And I think you hit it right on the head there. It's so easy today to say, oh, this is my situation, what a shame, rather than what can I do next time to make sure that I have a different outcome in this whatever respective lane you're working on. I love that mindset. That's fantastic. Yeah. You have to pick one here. Question number 4, you have to pick one. Summer, fall, winter, or spring?
Fall.
Ooh, quick. That was quick. No thought. Yeah. No thought on that.
I love the fall. It's really the only time I go hiking. I take a lot of landscape pictures in the fall. I like other seasons, but fall is it's all the colors. And I'm a photographer. I love colors and, great landscape. So the fall, I love it.
Love it. Last question. Most important lesson, first thing that comes to mind, most important lesson that you've learned from a mentor?
I think it's about debt. So, years and years ago, I've really been debt free. I mean, I have houses and whatnot that I have debt on, but it's good debt. I earn income from it. I have a lot of equity in the houses. I pay off my Harleys in cash, my trucks in cash. Everything that I own has been in cash. I don't do loans. If I spend on my credit card, I pay it off every week, and I earn rewards points. So, like, I went to St. Lucia last year with my wife. I surprised her with the trip. I paid for the airline with all my points, and then, everything else was kind of gravy after that. So really it's about debt. So don't live above your means. So, if let's say you make 50 grand a year, don't have a car that's worth $35,000, have a car that's worth $5,000, and then you can save money and get ahead and invest that money. So just live below your means and just kind of chug along.
Love it. Great lesson. That's it. The 5 questions under 5 minutes. You survived.
Perfect.
That's the good news, but you absolutely crushed that. I think that's fantastic. What I love about this is those are just 5 random questions, but now the viewers are know Mike Marrone. There's so much that you can learn there. Let's take the last 10 minutes here and learn a little bit more. I'm going to start this. Usually I'll say, tell us about Mike Marrone. I'm going to start this because number one, I respect the hell out of you. Number two, you're a good friend. But
Same,
number
man.
three, you're just doing the damn thing. You're just doing the damn thing. And I've watched your journey of working for a company. You had a great job. You liked what you did, great company, but then, said, it's time that I'm going to put it all on me. Some people put it on red. Some people put it on black. You said, I'm putting it all on me and I'm moving forward with my visions, my goals in these different respective lanes. You have the photography, the DJ stuff, all that. So just tell us, for the person that is watching this right now, Mike, and is meeting Mike Marrone for the first time, tell us about the photography business, your story, all of that good stuff, or whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. And I like to say the same about you. I've watched your journey, and I've known you for 6, 7 years now, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 8. And you've come such a long way yourself. So I appreciate you, and I respect what you've done and how hard you work, because I know the emails at 10 o'clock at night for an insurance policy. I'm like, what is he doing? You're like, I'm just working. So I appreciate you as well, man. Thank you for the words. So I started photography roughly 9 years ago, and I really I used to garage sale a lot. So I had this Xbox that I picked up, and I was going to Rochester to visit a friend, and I saw this camera online that wanted to trade for an Xbox. So that's pretty much what happened. I just traded an Xbox for a camera. I started shooting landscape, people at random. I used to walk around the city of Utica and just kind of capture really whatever I could. And then people started saying, hey, I'll pay you $100 to do this. And I'm like, really? You'll pay me to take pictures? And my pictures were awful back then. I look back, and that's where the failure comes into play, because I learned from what I was doing wrong back then.
You got to start somewhere.
And I grew. So to me, it's like, I started really with a camera that was $200, and now I built a business that I'm on my own and I'm thriving, which is amazing. And throughout that journey, for probably 3 to 4 years, I went on YouTube, I read articles, and just every day I had the camera, and I was learning about the technology, about how to shoot, how to compose things, lighting, just everything. Mm-hmm. And it was just every day of my life. And I just learned and learned and learned. And that's what really made me who I am today, because I just didn't give up. And I see people that have been doing it as long as I have, and their work, I'm not saying I'm the best, but their work is not at the level that mine is, because I worked a lot harder than they did to get where I was. Mm-hmm. So on top of that, I've been DJing for 15 years. That's actually how I got into weddings 15 years ago. I was in a band, and I bought all the gear for the band so we can maybe go out one day and play in a bar somewhere, which we never did. We just kind of jammed every Friday and had fun. But again, somebody asked me, hey, do you want a DJ birthday party? So I'm like, yeah, you're going to pay me $150 to do this? Sure thing. And then it evolved to graduations, weddings. And then again, I've kind of kept on track, and I bought more equipment. I bought higher end equipment, and it just evolved into now Israel, obviously, Israel, he recommended me for an M&T event, and it's probably the highest paying DJ gig I've ever had. So it just kind of compounded over the years, and I just kept at it, and it's a great thing. I also own some real estate. I'm a landlord. I don't own a lot of properties, just 2 of them, and then I have I trade stocks. So I day trade and swing trade equities and foreign exchange markets. I've been doing that for the past 3 years, and again, I kind of look at where I was in photography, where I sucked for probably 3 to 5 years. I was okay, but I wasn't great, and I wasn't profitable. And, I just put everything back into the business. And that's kind of how stock trading and the foreign exchange markets are to me, is where I'm learning every single day. I read 25 pages a night. I'm always on the charts. I log all my trades. So I go back and I journal, and I see, hey, I should have bought here instead of here, but at least I cut my loss really tight. So
Mike, not to cut you off, why be better for you in every aspect of your life?
Why be better? Like, why try to get better as a person?
Why? Well, I'm sitting here thinking stocks, landlords, photography, DJ. I'm trying to think of what you do with all your spare time that you have. But everything that you've talked about is like, hey, I have humble beginnings of my first photos. And, I know in a group that we're in, you did a presentation and you had, here's a photo that I did when I started and here's something now. And the photo when you started, it looked like a fine photo until you were like, and here's the one that I have now. And you're talking about that with even the personal stuff that you do with stock trading. And I know you very much enjoy that and you have goals with that, but what do you think is inside of you that just says like, I want to be better each and every day? Right. I mean, I think that's don't look at yesterday. Don't look at last month, last year,
Sure.
the llast 10 years. Like you said, when you started, well, I wish maybe my 18 to 23 or whatever that was, I did these things, but those are what taught me that my life started at 30 or what, however
Yeah.
you describe that. What is it for you that really sparks that light?
I think it was two things. So, growing up, my grandfather had a business, and I was always around him. And he was very successful, and we would go on trips in his RV and go on his boat in St. Lawrence and go to his camp in St. Lawrence. And I looked at him as I really looked up to him. I love my father, I love my mother, but they were average people. My father passed away, 11 years ago, and he really passed away with nothing. And my mother, love her to death. She's retired. She has her home paid off, but she never went past like the point of customer service at Blue Cross, or she worked at MetLife as a supervisor. And for me, I look at my grandfather compared to my parents, and I was like, I want what my grandfather had. He worked his tail off. He had it all. He had a 3,000 square foot house, 56 acres. And it wasn't about the stuff. It was about how hard he worked and the morals and ethics he instilled in me. And he kept on busting my chops, saying, "Oh, you're going to be a janitor one day if you're not going to, work hard and whatnot." And then, so that was instilled in me as like an entrepreneurial aspect.
Sure.
And then when I was 17, I went into a coma. I died, came back in the ambulance. And after that moment, I said, I'm going to stop living my life as shy and timid. I was still social, but like I was a kid that said, "Hey, am I your friend?" Like I would ask that instead
Right.
of realizing that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
after that moment, I kind of came out of my shell. And that's why for between 18 and 23, I just lived because I was in the hospital. I was in a coma for a month and a half. I lost 67 pounds or something like that. So for me, I just wanted to live and not worry about any responsibility. So
Okay. So your grandfather was in your life throughout your life, and I love the fact that he was like your mentor there of like, hey,
yeah,
I see that and I get that. You know, what was it at 23? What was it at 23 where it was like, hey Mike, time to grow
yeah.
up now?
So what
The
happened
the
was,
frat parties are over.
yep,
Let's get
100%, man.
let's
Yep.
figure the plan. What was it for you?
So what happened was I was in sales. I was in cell phone sales. I was in car sales. I was in TV sales. I love sales. I love doing it. I made decent money doing it. And then I was at Circuit City. I was on commission, and I was making probably $800 a week at the age of 23 or 22, which at age of 22, $800 a week back then, a lot of money. I was going out and having
Loaded.
fun. Circuit City shut down, and I was like, I've done everything. I've worked at every cell phone company. I've worked at a car dealership, which I didn't really love. I'm not going to go on retail again. Like I don't want to go to Best Buy. So I had a friend that had a warehouse job. So I worked at this warehouse as I drove their truck. I was their laborer. I was their janitor, and I was in these grungy clothes every day. Not saying it's a bad job, but for me, that wasn't what I wanted for the rest of my life. And then one day they came in and they said, "Hey, we have to lay you off." So essentially, the VP's son needed a job, and they said I was the guy that was going to
Sure.
be laid off for him to come in. I freaked out. I lost my mind. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I was with this girl at the time, and she's like, "If you don't go back to school or do something, we're done." She had her master's. She worked for the government, and she was dating this guy that worked at a warehouse. And I don't know why she dated me. I have no idea. I would not date me back then. But so I went back to MV for media marketing and management, and I fell in love with marketing because I was in sales for 6 years before that. So for that was a turning point. I thank God every day that they fired me from that job because I don't know what I would have done if I probably would have just stayed there because what else is there,
Mm.
So I went back to school. I hustled. I DJ'd. I worked full time. And I just kind of, that was the light that said, hey, this is what you're
Sure.
gonna
It-
do.
yeah. One of my favorite quotes, and then we got to wrap this up. One of my
Sure.
favorite quotes is not why is this happening to me? What is this trying to teach me? And that's the
Yep.
premise of everything we've talked about in your journey and your story. Not why is this happening? What is I got laid off? What is this trying to teach me? And that taught you specifically that you want to be in charge of your own destiny. You want to start your own business. And look, starting your own business, being your own boss, all of that is not for anybody
Yeah,
or for everybody, right?
that's true.
And I mean, there's everybody fits into their respective lane, but being able to respect the journey that one individual has and what that can teach you and what that can help you take to your next season of life. That's what it's all about. And that's
It
the story
is.
of Mike Marrone. Mike, I'm so proud to know you. I'm so proud to be your friend. Thank you very much for all you've
Same.
done for me personally, professionally, all of that. For anybody that wants to learn more about your journey, follow you around, follow all your great pictures, what's the best place to get in touch with you?
So I'm on Facebook at Michael Marrone Photography. I post landscape photos on Instagram, same handle. My wedding Instagram is Michael Marrone Weddings, and then I have DJ Mike the Mike on Instagram. I mean, I'm all over the place. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Facebook and
And
Instagram.
and let it be known here first from personal experience, Mike the Mike is the man behind the turntables. He even lets the bride and groom get up there and do a little
Yep,
bit.
100%.
Everybody, that is a wrap for today's episode of 5 with T5. Hope you enjoyed this engaging conversation with Mike Marrone. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel and Facebook page at T5 Insurance. Make sure to follow Mike. Until next time, remember, the power of connection and learning from one another is what makes this community thrive. Most importantly, remember to make an impact in someone's life today, even if that's your own. Stephen Turnbull here with T5 Insurance. We'll see you next week. Take care.